The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff or management of Visionary-related entertainment.
Aloha and welcome to Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where you'll find us talking story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and staff to find out how they're working to support the needs within our community. Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. If you're building or remodeling a home, please stop by Pacific Source's cabinet and appliance showroom located in the Waikapu Bayshard. And you know, I didn't know until last week that they have a full array of windows and doors in a second showroom out there. So if you're looking to upgrade your windows or want to get some sliding glass doors put in, go take a look. So it's now cabinets and appliances and doors and windows, all located on the Waikapu Bayshard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. During this hour, we share some of the experiences of our nonprofit agencies and just how they're changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope for those with needs. Today, we're going to be talking with Mary Leva, who's the Community Liaison for Partners in Development Foundation, the Hui Ho'omalu program. A lot of people just refer to it as the foster parents or the foster program, but that's the official name, Hui Ho'omalu program. She's brought with her Rhonda Felix, who we've had on the show before. Hi, Rhonda.
Hi, thank you for having me back.
Yeah, oh, hey, pleasure. It's my pleasure. And we're going to talk about her experiences as she goes into a second phase of fostering. I guess that's one way to put it, huh?
Yeah, that's the way to put it. That's exactly what it is.
We got it. So, Mary, how are you today?
I'm great.
Hey, you sure?
Yeah, just we're still trying to find some amazing foster parents out there. And that's about it.
That's an ongoing thing, right? I was reading someplace where it said there's like 1,200 children that need foster homes.
Yes.
In Hawaii.
Just in the whole entire state of Hawaii.
Wow. What's Maui look like?
I usually bring data with me, and we haven't recently had an updated data from the state. So I'm not exactly sure on the specific numbers, but we're always in need of more foster homes.
Right. So as you work through that, you know, one of the things that I always find just absolutely amazing about the foster program, especially the way you folks do it, this is the program on Maui, right, for fostering.
Yes. So
I mean, you work with other agencies, but you are the foster people.
Exactly. So there's two different agencies and there's two different licenses. So one license is the general license, which is what I do, which is we recruit from the general public for any child that's in foster care to be placed in your home. And then we have a child specific, which Catholic Charities takes care of. And that one is for a one specific child. So it could be a relative or a family friend that leaves you their child. It's much harder to find general individuals to take in general children versus child specific.
Okay, because of the multiples of children.
Right.
What's the largest group of children or families? Because I know you try to put the whole family someplace together if you can. What's the largest number of siblings that you've put in a home?
Probably 4.
Okay.
And that's the most need we have is for homes that can take 4 or more siblings.
Wow.
We try not to separate the siblings, but we're also working with the other resource caregivers to connect with each other so that the children can still be in each other's lives through the resource caregivers. That's what we're calling foster parents now. So the resource caregivers will kind of make play days with each other so that the siblings, if there's more than 5, can still have that connection with each other.
I see. Okay, so if you have to split them up, I suppose you try to get them at least in the same area of the island,
right?
If not neighborhoods, if possible, the same schools.
It would be nice. We try to keep them also at the same school. So we do offer like mileage reimbursement to resource caregivers so that the kids can stay at the same school that they were attending prior to being removed from their family home.
I see. Okay. And of course, no matter what's going on, the ultimate goal is to reunite.
Yes, absolutely. The state's goal is reunification. We work with the resource caregivers through the Hanai training to talk about the process of reunification and that transition.
Okay, so while the resource caregivers that you're working with are helping with the children's issues, and of course you have other partners that come in and help with specific issues, there's another team working with the parents trying to help them get through their issues.
Yes, so the parents themselves are kind of put like on an ISP, which is an individual service plan. So they have to kind of check off on their list like everything that they have to get done in order to be able to reunify with their children.
Okay, and at some point then, hopefully there's a meeting of the minds and they understand what's gone wrong in their relationship or even in their lives that has caused this. Now, there was one thing on your website that talked about the children are moved away from their homes for reasons, excuse me, and it gave 4 examples: physical abuse, sexual abuse, psychological abuse, and neglect or medical neglect. And those are the 4 main things that come up?
Yes, those are the 4 main reasons why children are removed from their family homes.
Okay. Now, is this something that, I don't know, I guess I'm naive about some of these things, I think if you've got 4 kids, when did this start? I mean, has it been going on and it just kind of culminates at some point when there are 4 kids? It's just overwhelming.
It could be a whole bunch of different things, and most of the time it's just like cycles anyways, but one of the main reasons could be of addiction, or it could just be overwhelming. It's very, very different for every case, and in every case the parent is given an opportunity to get themselves back on a possibility to get their children back. So, and the foster parent or the resource caregiver's job is to be that for the child, a resource for that child and for the family, to kind of just give that child a safe home while the parent is getting better.
I see. We hear a lot about how the families, that our families here in Hawaii have this extra stress because of how much it takes to live here. And that most families have, if mom and dad are both working, probably one of them's even working 2 jobs or more. Can it just be stress from something like that just kind of takes over? Doesn't have to be doesn't have to be any drinking involved or drugs or any of that kind of stuff?
It could be, but there is a process to this whole madness. So it starts off with an investigation, a very late investigation. And if these problems are coming up, the parents are given an opportunity to work with Child Family Services to kind of fix it before the removal happens. So the family is already in investigation, and then if something during the investigation goes wrong or there comes up another situation, that's when the removal happens.
Okay, so the red flags start popping up, and one issue leads to another.
Yeah, so there is an ongoing investigation already, and then from there it just escalates, and that's when the removals happen.
I
But
see.
it happens instantly, like nobody gets a warning, but in a way they already are being watched.
Right. They know they're being watched, but there's nothing that says you do this and this is going to happen. When that happens, boom,
Yes,
the children are taken out
exactly.
of the family. And so that's where Rhonda comes in. So, we talked last time you were here. You were taking care of your 3 grandchildren.
Yes.
Family situation had come up there, and the best thing for them was to be taken out of the house, and you were available to take care, which is my understanding, Mary. That's the preferred thing, right, for family to step in.
Right, that would be ideal, but not every child has that, and sometimes families just don't have the space or are not financially stable enough to take in more than 1 or 2 children.
Okay.
Right.
So, but Rhonda was in a situation where you could, And you were working at the time too, weren't you?
Well, yeah, I still work. Yes, for myself. So there was some flexibility with that.
Ah, okay.
And we're kind of, the kids get priority.
Right.
You know, they have a life. They have the state. The thing, and I think I mentioned this the first time, when I went for the training. Now, when you receive children that are in the family, you get your license after, because children come to you and then you get licensed.
Okay.
In the general situation, you get licensed first and then you receive the children.
Okay.
So I had the children, and then I go and get the training, and I was very, very taken with the state's position on getting the child physical, mental, and emotional help. They want the child to go to the doctor. They want them to get the dentist, and they want them to get therapy because their child has been through trauma. It's traumatic to be taken away from your parents, period. There's all kinds of trauma in life, but it is traumatic to be removed. And for some reason, children, and we all know this, always think it's their fault. If I would have been not so naughty, and it's important for a child to help them deal with all those issues. And that's part of what we're talking about. While the parents have their service plan, the child is in their plan with a therapist and getting help. And we have support groups that once every 6 weeks.
Yeah, once every 6 weeks.
Which is fabulous, where all the children that are in foster care, the parents come, the children come. And I remember my grandchildren saying, they're just like us. So it's a bonding, that they're not alone. So back to my grandchildren, my daughter and her husband, they stayed together, and they worked, and they got their lives together through
That's
the
wonderful.
grace of God. Yes, they took hold, and I think it's one of those wonderful happy ever after story endings. I mean, we only have today, and in today I see they've got it together. They've just moved from a 1-bedroom apartment where there were 5 of them living, into a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Life is moving forward.
Right.
And with them, I'm going to say it was not a lack of love. And I would say that for most of these parents, it's not that they don't love their children, they get overwhelmed.
Gotcha.
They get overwhelmed. You're right. The stress of financially maintaining, and which sometimes leads to the usage of drugs, which then can blow out the whole reality, right? But
Right.
it's not that children weren't loved. They just, irresponsibility sets in.
Now, you mentioned, I think before the show when we were talking, that you had them for a year.
I had them for about a year.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, did they have any relationship with their parents during that time?
Yes, in fact, the state, again, is all about reunification. So there is a process of visitation that starts off in the beginning. They see the parents 3 times a week, an hour each visit. And then as it moves along, then they get to spend an 8-hour visit. And then eventually they get sleepovers. So it is a gradual reunification. You haven't had your child for a year, and all of a sudden you get 4 kids back. That's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
So it's about moving back in, everybody readjusting. I say there's 3 parts to it that I saw. The beginning, which is challenging for everyone. Everyone's in turmoil. The children are in turmoil, what happened? The parents are in turmoil, like what happened? And then the middle is where everyone's into acceptance. The parents go, okay, this is where my goal, this is what the state is helping me with. I'm going to take advantage of it. I'm going to get help. And the kids are like, okay, mommy and daddy are still here. I'm safe. And one of the things you do is you start getting them involved in the community, because often isolation sets in dysfunction, right? Mm-hmm. So they start getting involved. For me, with my granddaughters, we got into gymnastics, one of the best things for their self-esteem. So they start getting into life, and they start having fun. And then once reunification is coming close at hand, everything starts getting a little bit off track, because the kids then have moved out of being with you to being with mom. because that's children love their parents.
Right.
That's a natural law of the universe.
Right.
No matter what, they love their parents. They might love you, and oftentimes it's hard for them because they struggle with, is it okay to love you and them? So that's where therapy is so important, and supporting them in that and getting help. So yes, so I gave myself about a 6-month break after my granddaughters. And you know, when it's your family, there's a lot of emotional things that you have to deal with. So I thought, okay, I love kids. Let's try it with children that aren't mine and see how it is.
And on that note, we're going to take a
Yes.
short break, and we'll
Good.
be right back and find out how it is.
How is it? Yes.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with our Maui nonprofit executive directors and their staff to find out what's happening in their world. And as you all know, over the 8 years that we've been doing this show, we've talked to a lot of people and we've told a lot of stories. And we always love the stories that have happy endings. And so we're talking with Rhonda Felix, who is a resource caregiver, and she was taking care of her grandchildren for about a year while the family got their act back together. Mm-hmm. And I would think that it's better than ever.
Yes.
I mean, mom and dad know each other better than they did before, with the kids kind of out of the picture and then gradually bringing them back in.
Yes.
So it's not a sudden, oh my gosh.
Right. They had an opportunity to work on issues that were in the way. And, you know, family life is a lot.
Right.
You get up, you do the breakfast, lunch, then we get up and we start again. So it gave them time to focus on themselves. And I think when these families, when the parents realize people aren't against them, that they're for them.
Right.
That this is a time that's a special time for them for healing, and that no one's going to take their children. You know, and the children need to know, no, your mommy is there for you.
Right.
So that's always the ultimate hope. It doesn't always work that way. Not every parent.
Well, I think
comes back around.
one of the greatest things that you commented on was how right from the beginning there's time with the parents.
Yes.
It's not like it's just cold turkey.
No, it's not. I mean, that initial when they're taken, they're taken. There's not a written notice given, and we'll see you Wednesday, and you can drop them off. They're taken, and Mary talked about that. They are given plenty of chances and warning that this is coming. These are the things that need to be done. If you can't follow suit, then we're going to move in. This is the repercussion, and the repercussion comes. So I was sharing about the 3 parts. So now I have a new family. Totally different. It's a little 3-year-old boy and his 14-year-old sister. So,
oh my goodness.
Yes, same mother, different fathers. Okay, but so they are family, and again, it's about keeping them together. It's 2 worlds. I have a teenager and a toddler, and it's diapers and it's iPad. You know, it's like where God help me. And I think the value is getting these children what their needs are They all have needs, and getting them the assessment they need to find out what do they need. My 14-year-old is autistic. She's in the high spectrum. She's mainstream school, so she's very functioning. But there still comes issues with autism. And so it's, every child comes with something. We all have something. None of us are 100% anything. So I've learned to find where am I going to get my help. And we have a community that is loaded with help. We have more agencies and more people that want to help Maui, our seniors as well as our children. That's just a known fact.
Right.
And so it's up to the resource caregiver, and we like to call them the RCGs, to get that. No one is really, they'll give you an idea, but it's up to you to do your work. And the longer you're in it, the more you know.
Right.
All right. So I know more this time around than the first time around. And, but these children require different things than the first children.
Right. Because the first ones were fairly close in age and younger.
And I had been in their life, and I knew them.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right.
They're your grandchildren.
Right.
So you said that you took a 6-month break between the two.
Yeah, I think they suggest that because you get emotionally attached. Let's be honest. These children live with you day in and day out. They're in your home. They're in your beds. They're in your closets. They're in your drawers. They're in your everything. And so they're your life.
Right.
Their smiles are yours. Their laughs, their cries. They're part of your ohana. And so, where are we going with that? You get attached.
Because they're your grandchildren, you still see them, though.
Oh, yeah,
It's
my
not like
grandchildren are
in that
part
case-
of these children, so that's what's so interesting.
Okay.
For these children who actually came from the mainland, so they are not local Maui children. They came here, it's a long story and I don't need to go into that. So we didn't have much history on these children. The CPS was aware of them in July, and they got taken in a different way. Their mother needed medical help and had no one to watch the children. So the call was, could you watch them while the mother gets help? Well, more has become revealed, so they're now with me for an extended period of time while the mother's getting help. And I have developed a working relationship with this mother. These are her children. So I've made a point of talking to her, texting her, letting her know what's going on, and so that, they're not removed. She's still part of. She still has opinions. I want to share in it with her.
Uh-huh.
That to the best of the ability of the situation.
Right.
There's some things the state has the call on. So.
Okay.
Yeah, just to piggyback off what Rhonda is saying, we highly, highly encourage the resource caregivers to have some type of relationship with the child's birth parents. It just makes it easier on the child because the child most of the time is stuck in the middle. It's kind of like a bad divorce, I like to say. So we kind of want to get them to a point where they can communicate with each other. And there's things that the birth parent knows about that child that the resource caregiver could use, like, shots or blankies, whatever it may be. So we highly, highly encourage that relationship to form during the whole process.
Very good. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, you're not starting from scratch.
Right, and encouraging that parent to know that you're working with her to get reunited.
Right. You're not trying to steer the kids in another direction. You're trying to keep them together.
Right, and
as much as you can.
and encourage her to take the time she needs, that they're going to be taken care of until she's ready.
Right.
And to take the time. And these two are characters. I mean, come on, a 3-year-old? They're either in it with you or they're against you. So
You took on a big bite this time.
I didn't know. And because the state really did not know when they gave them to me, because they did not know a lot about them. They were new to Maui. So it's been my choice to keep them. Now, here's a point. You can take children in that don't work with you, that don't seem to communicate with, or just the vibe or whatever
Right.
is not there. It has had its overwhelming moments, so I've tried to get support. The mother isn't supposed to do it alone. Families aren't meant to do it alone. Resource caregivers aren't meant to do it alone. This is not, we need other people to
Right.
help us.
It truly does
Period.
take the community at large out
Yes,
there.
it really does. Involvement and
Now-
being willing to ask for help.
And I'm sure there's also an alternative plan should it not work out. I mean, should it just absolutely be mixing,
Right.
a bad situation, and you don't want it to turn bad,
Correct.
that you can say, I got to back out of this one.
Right.
And then you move on to another resource caregiver.
Yeah, definitely. The state really doesn't want our resource caregivers to become overwhelmed or, over with like just too much. The first thing for us and for the state is you take care of your own family so that you are able to care for other children.
Right.
And we highly, highly look at the family situation during the home studies. We do financial assessments. We look at their background before we license them. But life changes,
Right.
and then if something was to come up at that moment of taking in a child and it didn't fit in with their life at that moment, they can always back out or say, I'm not ready at the moment.
Right. That's good to know that there's a second plan or an alternative plan, if you will. Earlier you mentioned the CPS. For those who don't know what CPS is,
Child Protective Services.
and that's a state agency.
Yes, that they are the ones that will that come in and remove the child. So they're the one who have the child's interest.
Right.
Right. They're protecting the child. That's the goal of that agency, is protecting the child. And then they're the ones in turn that connect and find the homes.
Right. And then to back it up to the start of this whole thing, traditionally these issues come to the attention of the state by virtue of complaints, issues,
Right.
police actions, what?
Schools.
Schools.
Yeah.
Okay.
Schools are probably one of the best forms. Teachers noticing a child is either coming to school not eating, not clothes aren't changed. Schools, neighbors, excessive crying, or wondering what happened to everybody.
Right. Oh, okay.
Sometimes children just wander off, and people see them wandering off on more than one occasion.
Oh, wow.
There's just every situation and every case is so different. We can't exactly pinpoint that's the main reason why kids get removed.
Okay.
Right.
So, just about out of time here. So I guess the word that we want to put out is that we need more resource caregivers.
Yes.
And if you have any interest whatsoever, or if you know of someone that you think would be a great resource caregiver, not you, but someone else, pass the word along to them. How can they get a hold of you? What can they find out?
Yeah, you can find us online. We're at pidf.org. We're also having a information session on November 30th. That's on a Thursday from 5 to 6 at UH, Extension Maui office at the Aging Programs Building. And you can also give me a call if you want. My name is Mary, and my number is 268-5122.
Great. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming in today and discussing this so important issue. Rhonda, thank you, and good luck with the new twosome.
Oh, it's, I just want to close in saying, what is more important in life than being able to help someone? And a child, if you can help a child change their beliefs, it can change their life.
Right.
So that's
Exactly.
where I am. So thank you.
Wonderful. Mary, thank you. Keep up
Thank
the good
you.
work.
Yes. Thank you for having us.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much. And second half of the show, we're going to switch over here and we're going to talk to, gosh, she keeps saying, just call me Reverend Tino, or Pastor Tino. But officially, We're talking with Reverend Florentino Cordova. How are you today, sir?
Doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me this day.
Hey, now we talk once in a while about new people to the island, and you've been here what, 6 months now?
8 months.
8 months.
I was called by Yale United Church of Christ in February. Began the interview process actually in November of last year, but
Oh my goodness!
came to visit in January, and then they called me in February, and I began work with them on March 1st.
Oh my gosh! They never let you go back, huh?
No.
So where was your last parish?
Well, I was living in LA before I moved here, so
Okay.
I was in transition in between. My last parish was with the First Christian Church Disciples of Christ in Watsonville, California, which is up by Santa Cruz.
Oh, okay.
And I was the interim pastor, their transitional pastor, for 3.5 years.
Wow, they really needed a break from the real thing, I
Yes,
guess is
yes.
the way to say it. Interim pastors, as I remember, are usually called in when there's been some issues that need to settle down and the congregation needs to kind of work through who they are before they call someone new in and bring them into the church.
Yes, and part of that process was they became an open and affirming church, and they didn't quite realize or know what that actually meant or what it looked like. And so part of the process was to help them grow into the open and affirming status, and welcoming the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered community, as well as all community into their faith community.
Oh, I see. So they loved the buzzwords but weren't too sure about the realities.
Right, and so, or how to live into that. And
Gotcha.
so we did the regular thing, is like hanging the simple thing as a pride flag outside the building, so the community knew what that flag represented.
Oh, I see.
And so coming from New Mexico, being a church that welcomes the LGBT community is something not safe
Oh, really?
in the middle of Bible Belt area. And so I've had my experiences with our church buildings being attacked
Oh my gosh.
just for welcoming the LGBT community.
Wow.
And so we did that in Watsonville, and I said, okay, let's button down the hatches and see what happens. And the community of Watsonville is an amazing community. The opposite occurred. And so many people said, this is what we needed here. And it's about time a church becomes a church once again.
Interesting.
And so that was just one of the aspects. The other aspect was bringing the church back out into the community. And what I've done there was network with the local agencies in the similar fashion that I'm doing here now within the 8 months.
Oh, okay. So taking the church out into the community to let them know what you have to offer and who you welcome, which is everyone.
Right. And the church then becomes the central focal point of what the community does. And many agencies are doing great work, have done great work. The missing component is the faith component of challenging them. Where is God in this picture? Where is Jesus in this picture of what you do? And so I've challenged some of the agencies here with some of their wording. Like, we don't call homeless individuals with mental health issues as crazy people. They're still our beloved people, and we don't refer to them as crazy people. We refer to them as our beloved homeless community because they are our beloveds. And that's part of what bringing the church back into the community actually means.
Interesting. Okay. Well, and as we know, words make all the difference in the world.
They do, because if you call an individual crazy, eventually they're going to think that
Right.
of themselves. And so we don't want to think less than of anyone. And so since I've been here in my 8 months, I've been part of the Maui nonprofit group, the Maui Homeless Alliance. I'm a board member of the Habitat for Humanity, and I'm part of the ecumenical interfaith group. We participate with the Maui Food Bank, the Maui Pride, and so we become a church, the first church in Maui to actually hang the pride flag outside our building now.
Oh, interesting.
And so that's been part of this church's experience, is similar to the one in California, where we're bringing the church back out into the community. Even though this church has been here since 1895 as a Japanese church, it has transitioned and part of the United Church of Christ. And so we're part of the Trial Association of the Hawaii Conference of the United Church of Christ. And so part of that is to come out into the community, like I said, and that's been an amazing but great challenge.
Interesting. On that note, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back and talk a lot more about EAL United Church of Christ.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. Well, that was hello. I guess I'm supposed to talk, huh? All right, the sign didn't go up. No, I'm kidding, people. There's no sign to tell me. It's just, get with it, Susie. We are back. This is the Maui Nonprofit Notes radio show where we talk story with our executive directors here of our Maui nonprofit organizations. And in the second half of the show today, we're talking with Reverend Tino Cordova, who actually this Sunday is officially installed as the pastor of EAL United Church of Christ.
Correct. This is going to be a big celebration beginning on Sunday at 3 o'clock at the church. I will be installed as the senior pastor for EAL United Church of Christ, followed by a potluck celebration at the parsonage across the street. I live right next door to the Bailey House Museum.
Wow. What a great place, huh?
Yes, it is. It's nice and quiet, and I get the nice cool breeze from the trade winds when you come in. And so, and plus, I get to walk to work.
Can't beat that. No stuck in traffic. We jokingly say that, right? And we keep thinking, here, we're on Maui. How can you be stuck in traffic? Try it. Whether you're going to the west side or up country or Kihei, there's always someday you're going to get stuck in traffic, but not Pastor Tino.
Well, my partner and I, we laugh at people who say, wow, this traffic is crazy here on Maui. Coming from Los Angeles, you don't know what stuck in traffic really means.
That's right. You ain't seen nothing. All right. Very good. So you mentioned senior pastor. Are there others serving the church?
No,
at this
I'm
point?
actually the only pastor at the
Okay.
time. It used to be a time when the EAL did have associate pastors, but I will be the only pastor.
You're it. Okay,
But,
gotcha. But you're
actually-
going to grow the church, so you're going to need more.
Yes, I'm hoping that is the plan, the God's plan, but we'll see what happens. And one of the things that I also want to mention is on December 5th, we're having a dedication of our preschool to one of our old pastors, Reverend Tomasaku Watanabe. He was the pastor from 1923 and 1935. And as my office assistant was pulling up the research on him, I was amazed that Pastor Watanabe was in an internment camp in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And growing up in New Mexico, I was born and raised in New Mexico. I never even heard that New Mexico had an internment camp.
Oh, really?
And so it's like an interesting history that now a pastor that was born and raised in New Mexico is now going to dedicate a building on his behalf. And so it's like a circle coming around.
Right.
And it's a great honor for me to do that.
And he served until 1933, you say?
1935.
Oh, 35. Okay,
Yeah.
so he's no longer with us.
No. No.
Okay. Is there still family here?
I believe so. Actually, there is. His granddaughter is coming down for the dedication.
Oh, great.
And she wrote a paper on the internment camp in Santa Fe and on him. And so she's coming to give us a history of what she found in her research paper.
Wow. Well, the Watanabe name obviously is a very popular name. Lots of family, but there's so many different groups within that name. Not all are related. That's what we find with a lot of the Japanese. Well, a lot of everybody around here. Just because they have the same last name doesn't mean they're related, like it does to some small towns on the mainland.
Right, or in New Mexico.
Or in New Mexico, especially, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we had Deidre Teagarden, who's the executive director of the Nisei Veterans Memorial Center here 2 weeks ago, I guess, talking about some of the issues that the Japanese went through to be able to serve our country, even though they had been repressed, like in the internment camps with mostly parents who ended up in the camps. So there's quite a history, and I think you'll enjoy. Is enjoy the right word? You'll learn a lot from the paper that she's written, I'm sure. And that's a great thing to dedicate your preschool to that.
Right.
To him.
And I'm wondering, that's about the same time period, like you said, that it became an English-only congregation.
Right.
At the time.
Yeah.
And so now we've become a really diverse community. We have Japanese, we have Chinese, and we have our large Kosharai community that uses our space, as well as the Micronesian community.
Yeah, I saw that the Micronesian community is one of your focal points. On some things on the website.
Yes,
that you're working
and with that, our preschool is actually at capacity, which is a diverse preschool as well. The other component that we have that's not necessarily on our website is we do the tutoring program after school on Mondays and Wednesdays, and it's mostly of the Kosharai Micronesian community that come between 2 and 4 on Mondays and Wednesdays, and that program is at capacity as well.
Wow.
So we're looking for more tutors in order to handle the increase in students that come to the tutoring program.
Boy, that's great to be able to work with these children at that age, and kind of bring them into the culture of Hawaii, because a lot of the folks who have transitioned here from Micronesia find it difficult to become part of the community, and in some areas they pretty much stay away from the I refer to them as the normal things the rest of us do, but this is great. I mean, the being able to work with the children, it's
Right.
just
And this church has the history of involving the youth and the children. And so every Sunday we have an adult reader and we have a youth reader every Sunday. And then every fifth Sunday, the youth take over worship. And so they do everything that the adults would do during worship. And they used to do everything with the exception of sermon. I did the sermon, and I said, well, if they're going to take over worship, they need to really take over worship.
Right.
So I've been doing co-preaching with some of the youth
cool.
during on the fifth Sundays. And so as part of our re-engagement of the youth. Not just the tutoring, not just the preschool, but even during worship. After my installation, beginning on the 19th, we're going to go back to having a space in the back of the church where the children can go and do their coloring. It's been tradition that the children leave the church and they go do their own thing. Well, we believe in having our children in our sanctuary while the grown-ups are doing our thing. They can be doing their thing in the same space. So
how interesting.
We'll be transitioning the back.
Hey, that's a good point. I never thought about that, but we always have excused the kids to go somewhere else, whether it's the basement or the community room next door or whatever. I like that idea. Have them right there so they're used to what's going on when they're in where their parents are. They're not. It's kind of like casting them aside. Hey, get out of here for an hour while we do our thing.
Right, and so and that's part of our UCC thing is that we baptize whatever age, And we give communion once a month to all ages. And now we're going to keep them in our sacred space because they're part of our community. And really, when you look at it, that's part of our open and affirming process. And many have assumed that open and affirming default to LGBT, and it's not. It's open and affirming of all people, including our youth and our kupuna. And so society kind of has taught us that, the children need to be put to the side because they don't know what's happening yet. And our kupuna need to put on the other side because they're too old to do anything. And so that apparently only those in the middle are the productive ones.
I see.
And so part of my work is to make sure that we include all people, including our young ones, and to re-encourage our kupuna that they can still become mentors. And so I tell my kupuna that just because they can't come up and read from the podium, we have a portable mic where we can take to them and they can still contribute and read from the pew where
There
they sit.
you go. Very good. Very good. Yeah, because it's just the means of transporting up there that stops a lot of activity for them.
Right,
But
right.
they can still read, and they can still, and probably a lot of them don't even need to read it; they know it.
Yes, yes. Well, and I have an older gentleman who still plays tennis, and he's up there in his 80s and 90s, and so he still plays tennis, and so they're up this Sunday going to play for state championships. So
Oh my gosh!
he is the one that encourages the kupuna that don't give up. That you're still valid and you're still valuable to the community, and
Wow.
he's a prime example of what it means to be active even as an
Right.
older age.
Yeah, the worst things people can do as they get older is stop doing things.
Right, and the worst thing that the church can do is to say that they can stop doing things,
Right.
or not find creative ways, and encourage them that they can still do things.
Right.
And so that's the whole part of our open and affirming status.
Interesting. Yeah, encourage instead of ignoring.
Yes, yes, and that goes with the youth, and that goes with our kupuna.
Yeah, that's great. Great words to live by.
Yes.
Wow. I can see some interesting things happening over there.
Well, that's part of my thing, is to not just engage the youth, but to re-engage the elders, but to re-engage the community as well. And that's part of bringing the church again back into the central focal point of the community, and that the church doesn't have to do it on its own. And so, we do a lot of ministries, such as feeding. Every month we go and take food to the shelter. We partner with Habitat. When they bring their groups down to Maui, they stay at our Conda Hall building while they help build houses. And so this way, their cost is down, it keeps the cost down for them, and they're able to come to Maui and enjoy the wonderful island we call our home here.
Right, right.
And so we also have the Al-Anon groups. We have the Maui Choral Group uses our space to practice. And so the building is, all of our buildings are hustling.
Yeah, they are.
And so there's always something happening. And so the big thing is to re-engage the community. And so, whether you want to come and join us, or whether you want to come and just be part of the ministries that we do. I know you said our website doesn't really fully say what exactly all
Right.
the things we do. And so that's going to be something that we upgrade, so that people out in the general public actually know what EAO does.
Wow, I don't know how you're going to get all that on a website. That's fabulous. But it's encouraging, is what it is. It truly is. Now, one of the things that you do have on your website is your vision, and to give voice to the silenced, to celebrate our commonalities, to use God's gifts, to bridge differences, and to practice reconciliation. That says it all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what a vision for the future.
One thing that I've always say, and usually say in my sermons, is that the words are useless if we don't put them into practice.
Right.
And our scripture readings that we hear on Sunday is dead if we don't go out of the four walls that we go on and put it into practice.
Right.
And so part of the challenge is to put those words to practice, knowing that fear is going to sit in. It's like, am I saying the right words, or how do I do this? And so encouragement
Right.
is the key.
You know, I've got to tell you that through the years, I have found so many times when I have some heavy issue weighing on me, do I do this? Don't I do this? Why did this happen? How do I fix this? You know, the things that are life. Mm-hmm. And I will sit in church on Sunday morning, and somehow the minister was led to say exactly the right words that were appropriate for what I was going through. Mm-hmm. And it was like, my gosh, how? And it's like you're sitting there, hello, and it's like, well, hello, God told him what to say, or her. You know, it's not a mystery, and I'm not the only one out there with something going on, right?
Right.
And
right.
but it hits home, and it's right there, and it's like we're having a private conversation, and yet it's the sermon of the day. Do you have people who come to you and say, "Wow, I can't believe you said that today"?
I do, and every Sunday we'll find a Sunday where my words will encourage individuals or get through those aha moments in what I say, and that's why it's important that every time I do a sermon that I tie it to what is happening in today's culture or today's politics or something that they can look to,
Right.
and always try to end it with a sense of encouragement and a sense of empowerment. And so it's what I tell them. Howard Thurman wrote in his book, Jesus and the Disinherited, that we all have this inward center where God speaks to us. And that's who we are from the very core, and something we know it as a gut feeling.
Right.
And so he called it the inward center. And so I tell them, if you ever want to know what God is saying to you, look to that inward center. Right. And so part of the sermons that I've done are try to encourage people to tie their life moments in with today, what's happening today.
Very good. Pastor Tino, welcome to Maui.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And again, I encourage everyone to come to our big celebration on Sunday and on our December 5th celebration.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
That's truly
having me.
exciting. Thanks. Maui Nonprofit Notes is sponsored as a community service by Pacific Source, the builder's choice. Give Paul and his staff a call at 986-0380 or stop by their showroom in the Waikapu Bayshard on East Oahe Way to see how they can help you with your building project. The Maui Nonprofit Directors Association's purpose is to provide an opportunity for nonprofit agency directors to gain personal and professional support through cooperative development activities. Maui Nonprofit Directors Association also provides an opportunity for networking to affect significant positive change in the community. Please visit our website at mauinonprofit.org for a list of member agencies. Today we visited with Mary Levy and Rhonda Felix of Hui Ho'omalu program, talking about resource caregivers. We also visited with Pastor Tino Cordova of EAL United Church of Christ, and we ask you to check out both organizations, or if you know of someone who should learn more about these organizations, please tell them about what you heard today. I'm getting a signal that I'm running late. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host. Have a great week, everyone. Aloha.